What I'm advising is that she be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself.
While the overwhelming majority of my feedback has been positive, a small contingent of mostly female viewers has proven quite negative. And the overwhelming majority of that negativity is in response to some of my advice on how to hook a man. In this episode, I responded to that criticism and emphasized the importance of using sexuality intentionally and strategically. Hi guys, Dr. Taraban here. Sometimes when I give young, impressionable men terrible advice on women, the women in my comment section tend to really not like that. But if there's anyone we've learned to not listen to when it comes to what women want and need, it's women. If I wanted a woman's opinion, I would have made it up myself. There is a very real danger in telling young women that they should be the sluttiest versions of themselves to immediately hook a man. And that way, a man will not have to leave them until they're 50 and useless. Those are opinions I'm unsure how you decide to come up with, and really unsure how you are so confident spewing out on the internet. I don't get it. But luckily for us, we can ask. I can book a 1-hour consultation with Dr. Taraban for us for only $1,000 an hour. $1,000 an hour. I thought Diane was scamming people with her $20 a month group chat. Also, it's weird to me that he only accepts Venmo for domestic clients. How are consultations structured? At the beginning of the session, you will be asked to tell Orion whatever information you think he needs to know to make sense of your situation. Your goals will then be confirmed, and Orion will become increasingly more participatory and directive as the session progresses. We don't have to waste our time going through the rest of his website, and we're going to jump into his video much faster than we did last time. Here's the thing. I don't get it. I don't get it. If you have to make an entire video responding to female criticism because you just can't see what's wrong with your videos, telling young women to be, I'm quoting here, I promise you these are not my words, the sluttiest versions of themselves, and that once they're 50, they're useless. He said that once they can't have kids, there's no reason to keep them around, which is a wild way to think of anyone that you're supposed to love. You can't give me children anymore, therefore I cannot love you anymore. It's such a dumb way to look at any sort of relationship. I had 3 people in my comment section say something to the effect of, oh, he's right. Oh, from what I've seen, he's telling the truth. But that is such a great example of what we're looking at. We have a comment section full of 500 people. 3 of them see the world the way he does. Those are his clients. This 0.6% of people are who he's basing his entire idea around. If 1, I'm rounding up, percent of people agree with me, then I have to be right. If your entire program is set around teaching men how to be attractive to women, and the women are responding, hey, nope, not like that, consider that you're just wrong. There's so many of them, and it can go from ways that seem not harmful, like someone in their living room pretending to be a practicing psychologist, all the way to people like Andrew Tate, who are spewing all this like nonsense of like, oh, you want to be attractive to women? Well, this is how you can be attractive to me, which means you'd be attractive to women too. It's just a bunch of men teaching you how to be attractive to other straight men, which I don't think works. Like, you're looking for advice in the wrong place. But I don't know if he is single, but he seems single, which is another like, why are we listening to a single man tell us how to fall into relationships? For now, let's just jump into why women, why they may disagree with Dr. Taraban here. If you're one of the like 3 men who commented on the last video to say something like, oh, he's right, oh, he sees the world that I do, oh, from what I've seen from my computer chair, he's completely right, consider going through the rest of the comments. It's like most anything else. If you're going to take dating advice from anyone, and you're looking to date women, you should probably take it from women. As much as you want to believe someone who looks like you, sounds like you, acts like you, thinks like you, has your best interests, they probably don't. They're selling a course, and at some point during this video, Dr. Taraban is going to ask you to tip him, and I'm going to cut it out because that's weird. In the same way that estranged parent courses are like, oh, your kids suck, come be a part of us and we can make you feel better. Or, oh, your kids suck, let's teach you how to fix that. A single man talking to single men is going to say, you are not the problem. They are. Just to get you to pay $1,000 for an hour-long consultation. And if he believes this, if he actually thinks this way, acts this way, is this way, then yeah, I would put money on him being single. Go through the comments if you want. There are a few people who've been like, well, I'm short and maybe not the most attractive person, but I have a little bit of charisma. I'm a real person. I'm nice. I've never had an issue getting into relationships. Like, I don't know, we can sit here and put together a pretty comprehensive list of how to be attractive as a person, as a man, because that's all I know, right? But it's not this. It's not, you're going to hit your peak at 30. Women are going to hit theirs at 18. You and your sperm will live on forever. Women are useless after 50. Like, those are talking points for people who just should not be allowed anywhere near women or other people in general. The easiest way to flirt with any woman is just to give them cheese. Packaged cheese, not like loose out of your pocket cheese. You know how many times that's worked for me? Never, but if I was single, I'd try it.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is responding to my female critics. So, as I've said in previous episodes, the overwhelming response to my channel has been positive, and I'm very appreciative and grateful for that. However, a very small percentage of the feedback that I've received has been quite negative, and it always involves my discussions on intersexual dynamics. And even within that space, the thing that has gotten me the most flack is my discussion on women's optimal dating strategies within the contemporary sexual marketplace.
Yeah. So plenty of us had a problem with the idea of a contemporary sexual marketplace, or the idea of just like sitting in this pool of like who I can and can't have sex with. If that's how you think about relationships, then you're probably not looking for a relationship. You're looking at somebody to have sex with. And if you are someone who like, oh, biology says we're just here to make babies, you probably don't have the emotional intelligence for this conversation. And that's not me trying to be like, oh, you're not there. Oh, you're stupid. That's me going, you're probably not there yet. You're probably really young or you're inexperienced, which both are fine, but you should be looking to move forward from those. If when speaking of women have an issue with the way you speak of them, consider that there's an issue with the way that you speak about them.
I've done a series on this topic on my channel, and I've spoken about these strategies on some of my media appearances. And even within that topic, the thing that has generated by far the most vitriolic reaction is my advice that women be the nastiest, sluttiest versions of themselves with the men they want to have relationships with. Like, that one piece of advice is probably responsible for 90% of my negative feedback.
Also, 100%, the people who give advice like that are uncomfortable with the idea of their partner having been that way with anyone else. So if he goes, you want to be in a relationship with me, I need you to be the nastiest, sluttiest version of yourself you can be. Oh, you were like that with someone else because you wanted to be in a relationship with them? Oh, that just means you're a slut. That just means you're a whore. That just means that you're just like this and I can't be with someone like that. How stupid is that? How dumb is that? I'm going to say women and men in this conversation because that is what he's talking about. He's talking about these heteronormative relationships. So we're going to just sit in that bubble. You expect women to do things for you that you, for some reason, expect that they wouldn't do for anyone else within the context of their relationships as well. I want you to do things for me that you've never done for anyone else immediately at the start of a relationship. How just plainly weird is that? You don't want to give them any sort of trust, security, love. You walk around like you're a prize to be earned, and to earn that prize, they have to be willing to do all these things that they may not even be into. And he went into a little bit of this conversation last time where he talks about how these women will be this way for the person they want to be with. However, what if they don't like that? What if those women consider that those women have their own wants and needs, don't like that kind of sex? And there are plenty of men who don't either. And his target audience are the people that call women like that whores. Oh, you want to have sex on the first date with anyone other than me? You're a whore. I want you to wear this lingerie for me. Oh, you've worn lingerie before? It's so dumb that they want this like idea of a woman who is pure and clean and 18 when they peak. It's so weird. I don't get it, and it feels predatory.
And because I'm authentically interested in helping people, and because this seems to be an issue, I want to use this episode to respond to a few of the more substantive pieces of criticism I've heard with respect to this piece of advice. And I use the term substantive because the vast majority of that feedback was not substantive and does not deserve to be discussed. Okay?
He goes into like, oh, ad hominem attacks. Oh, they think I'm weird, so obviously their arguments aren't very good. You saw them, dude, and they hurt your feelings. So,
okay, here we go. The first thing you have to understand is that women have to be the nastiest, sluttiest versions of themselves with somebody. Like, they have to. That's the nature of superlatives.
But they don't. Within you, as mean or as nice, as wonderful, as in control or out of control of your feelings as you are, within you is the absolute worst version of you, capable of saying some really terrible things. Whether or not that is who you are or how you think, you are capable of it. How hard is it for me to say a slur right now? Not very. It would feel weird and I don't really like it. I think the idea of it makes me want to puke a little bit, but I can say it. I'm capable of doing it. Within me is the possibility, is the capability of being a terrible person, actively saying and doing things that I don't want to and shouldn't do, but I just won't do them. So there's a big difference between being a bad version of myself and being the absolute worst version. There's a comfortability where I stop, but there's a possibility that I could get much worse. In the same way that within sex, how did we get to sex? Like, this person has never seen a naked woman. Within sex, you should stop at what you are comfortable with. If you are with your person that you know you're going to be with the rest of your life and they want to try something new or you want to try something new, that's a conversation to have. But you don't have to do things that you are so uncomfortable with just because you can. So there's a difference in being the nastiest, sluttiest version you can be and doing things that you're uncomfortable with for the sake of just doing them with your partner, I guess. So to use a superlative like the most is to deny the fact that people are going to stop at some point and it's before their actual like physical threshold. I can do plenty of things that I don't want to, but I'm just not going to do them. So you should be the nastiest, sluttiest version of yourself is a really grotesque way to say, actually, no, I tried to qualify that. That's just not something I would say. I'm not trying to deny at all the importance of sex within your relationships. I think it's very important. Obviously, that varies. But the way he speaks to women makes it sound like their entire job is just to keep a man who is probably not worth keeping. You should be the nastiest, sluttiest version of yourself. And if that means taking your socks off after 3 months, okay, that's cool. That's dope. Take it slowly. This also goes into the conversation of women being forced to lead. How many times have we had our women friends or been the women in this situation where a man says, I want to do this, I want to try this, or they talk a big game. And then when it comes to being that person in person, they can't do it for whatever reason. They're shy. They don't know how to initiate. They're afraid of rejection. So this person is just putting everything on women, but is also the same kind of person that it's going to call the man the leader. So it's dumb to me. It is so stupid.
So whether she's consciously intending it or not, the fact of the matter is that every woman will be the nastiest, sluttiest version of themselves.
Should then men be expected to be the nicest, most attractive versions of themselves? And if so, why don't people like you put any of that effort in?
With someone. What I'm advising is that she be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with the man she wants to have a relationship with. So if you're disagreeing with that statement and you concede that she has to be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with someone.
That's exactly like what gets people is if you concede that she has to be this person with someone, but I don't. I don't think she has to be. I think the easiest way to think about it is the amount of people that I have in my life that are friends of mine who are open about wanting sexual relationships, but don't just go out on Tinder and have sex every day. I have specifically 2 friends who are my age and virgins. Both of them do not want to be. They're both women. And I promise you that if they decided tomorrow that they were going to get on Tinder and stop being virgins, they could. They both don't want to be, but they also don't want to just have sex with strangers. And the people that have been in relationships with them, for whatever reason, have not worked out that way. So no, I really, really don't think that women need to be the nastiest, sluttiest versions of themselves with anyone. I think that is something you can either push into or not do. I think that's something that's just based around your comfortability with someone. I really do think it's a lot healthier to tell men in these situations to say, be the person that's going to make your partner as comfortable as possible in being themselves than it is to say, women, be whores. That's how you keep a man.
that means that you're functionally arguing that she should be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with someone she doesn't want to be in a relationship with.
No.
And how exactly does that serve a woman's dating goals?
So he just made up an argument and then won it by himself. A really easy way to think about this argument is that if biologically we are meant to have babies, then there's no way we would ever be gay. And gay people exist. I don't think it's that difficult. There's variations and there's things that exist outside of like what you can come up with trying to be so smart in a room by yourself. There's a world outside of you, dog. And if you just went out and experienced it, you would think so differently. A couple of people in my comments have said that he's divorced, and I did not do like a deep dive, but I did try to find it and I couldn't. So I don't know, but it would make sense to me. It would make a lot of sense to me. Divorce happens. Obviously, like there could be plenty of good reasons to get divorced, but do you think that's who he is? He's like, my wife was not the sluttiest version of herself, so she left me. Thank God for me. I needed someone way sluttier. Like this man wants to be tied up and gagged, and I don't like that. I don't want to think about that. He's like, oh, I talk too much in my real life. I've been a bad boy, haven't I? Yeah, I don't like that. Why would you say that to me? It's your fault.
Like, if she has to be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with somebody, why shouldn't she use that behavior instrumentally and strategically in order to secure a relationship with a good prospect? Because it will absolutely help her to secure a relationship with that prospect.
Congrats. We discovered performativity. If she has to be that version of herself with somebody, why wouldn't she use it strategically in order to keep someone? You know that like meme that's not really a meme about how like men are really nice for the first 3 months, you know, and then once you're in a relationship with them, with us, they're just like, oh, surprise, I'm actually not that nice, I just needed you to love me, and now we're stuck here. Dog, you should be the truest version of yourself, and if that means you're mean, be mean. Tell people who you are. And if that means you're a prude, be a prude. And if that means you want to have sex 6 times a day, say that. Be the truest version of yourself and find the person that's going to love that person, instead of trying to be someone you're not in order to keep someone you probably don't want to have anyway.
On the other hand, encouraging the converse, that a woman should be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself, like irrespective of whether she desires a relationship with the man in question, like that's even sluttier than what I'm recommending. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't think he understands what anyone else is saying is the problem. Is he so convinced that he's the smartest person in any room he walks in that everyone else just has to be wrong? No. You don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. I'm divorced because she wasn't a slut. My ex-wife is divorced because when she wanted to talk about our marriage, she couldn't afford my $1,000 consultation fee. And I ain't dating no broke girls. That's wild, dude. That is wild. You should be who it is you are. And that cannot be a hard... I lost my chapstick a couple of days ago, and this is my backup chapstick. But I lost it. It's just out there in the middle of nowhere in some snow patch somewhere outside of a donut shop. Anyway, you should be who it is you're comfortable being. And if you want to go around sleeping with everyone, cool. If you want to go around not sleeping with anyone, also dope. You don't have to be the sluttiest version of yourself with someone you want to be in a relationship. Or conversely, the sluttiest version of yourself with people you don't want to be in a relationship with. Just be yourself. You don't have to pull yourself into extremes to be a person. You are a person. Go be. Unless you're not a person and you're my dog watching this. Hi, Toast.
So if it's inescapable that someone must benefit from that side of her, why not have it be the man with whom she desires a relationship? Use that side strategically, okay? So that's the first piece of substantive criticism.
He made up an argument and then won an argument within the argument. Nothing happened there, and I don't think I need to summarize that. What he said was, if you're stuck inside anyway, you might as well walk around your house naked. You have no way of going outside. If you're going to walk outside naked, it might be a little weird. But it's impossible for you to open a door. You can't turn your wrists that way. Trust me, I know. I'm the wrist turning expert. When normal people would be like, why don't I just walk outside? Clothes on, walk outside. Or maybe I just don't want to walk around my house naked. Regardless of whether you're agreeing with him or not, you're probably smart enough to say that was a dumb thing to say. Like that was stupid. That was stupid. Congrats.
The second piece goes a little something like this. Well, Orion, wouldn't following your advice just create this like slippery slope to the bottom?
You can't make a slippery slope to the bottom because I'm the bottom. Is that me or is that him? You'll never know. Am I the bottom or is Orion? You'll never know. You'll never know. You shouldn't know that much about me.
Like if every woman has to be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with every subsequent man she wants to have a relationship with, wouldn't this just lead to women becoming these like degraded sexual animals? Now, I have a couple of responses to this criticism.
Also, why is being the nastiest, sluttiest version of yourself being equated to degradation? I guess that probably gives you a really good picture as to who like he is. So there's layers to this, right? One, is sex inherently a nasty, degrading act? He will probably say yes. Jake Doolittle did say yes. Second, if women lean into sex and they want to have this nasty, slutty, again, I have to quote that because I think differently than he does, type of sex, is that then degrading or empowering? If you as a woman can say, this is what I want, and you have the power to get that from probably any man, is that empowering or is that degrading? And I think this is where he and I think differently because he's going to say that's degrading. What good is a woman who's used by any man? Whereas I would say that's an insane level of power to have. I can have sex in the way that I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want, which is inherently, and I keep using that word, what people like him want to be. He wants to have the power to have sex how he wants, when he wants, with whom he wants. But he sees it as a gross thing for women to be able to do that. And those are the types of people we're having these conversations with. I know we're only 3.5 minutes into the video, and I'm sure they'll get into more. However, sex is a conversation. That's all that is. It's a conversation with words, with your bodies, with your wants, with your needs. You should be able to tell your partner what it is that you want. You should be able to listen to them when they say the same thing. If what they want is outside of your comfortability and it's so far outside that you can't be like, maybe I'll try it, that's again a conversation. And you say, hey, that's not something I can do. That's not something I want to do. And then they go, okay, yeah, no problem. Or they go, all right, maybe we should break up then. If they want to break up over something like that, that's probably like a overreaction. If you were to break up with someone because you wanted to have sex multiple times a week and they didn't want to have sex at all, then sure, like those are fundamental differences. Sex is a very important part of relationships. Like agreeing on not having sex and agreeing on having sex a lot, wherever you fall under that. You want it to be somewhere close enough to where like one person isn't feeling neglected and the other one isn't feeling used. Those are definitely the wrong words, but like these are just thoughts as they're being thought. Do we do it? Do we book an hour-long consultation just to make fun of him the whole time? Start a $1,000 fundraiser for this?
Like I mentioned in the original episode, this advice doesn't necessarily have to do with sex. Now, obviously it could, but if you're a young woman and all you've ever done is hold a boy's hand, this advice still applies because there are ways of holding a boy's hand that communicate, say, platonic friendship. And there are ways of holding a boy's hand that directly impart, say, a tantalizing sensuality. In giving this advice, I'm trying to include as many of the straight women in the sexual marketplace as possible, which includes young, inexperienced women who may still be virgins. And I'm definitely not suggesting that they just throw that away wantonly. All right.
I'm not going into the whole virginity talk right now, unless he also like goes into it. The holding hand things is weird. Like, are the videos of him directed towards the men and how to know when women are / are not being these sensual beings, right? Oh, is she holding your hand? How is she holding it? Versus like women, make sure you know how you're holding his hand because it can be a sexual act. That just seems like a lot for me, and it seems like we're just overthinking everything. Is your relationship romantic? If so, the hand-holding might be. Is your relationship a friendship? If so, the hand-holding may be platonic. And I don't think it's that hard. And instead of instilling these ideas into men that like everything is or isn't some sort of like weird signal towards sex, consider trying to give men the confidence in asking and also the ability to take rejection without making a big deal out of it. If you did not see on Twitter, Cinna Valkyrie rejected giving their phone number out to a random dude, and he came back and tried to attack them, which is insane, which is just insane. And so teaching men to look out for these sexual signals is so stupid, because most of the time women are just going to be nice for the sake of their own safety. Teach men how to ask for what they want and to gracefully take no's. Hey, can I have your number? Hey, can we hold hands? Hey, I'm interested in you. No? Okay, cool. Not a big deal.
Now, in the second place, there might be some truth to this objection. Like, if you follow this advice, it does mean that with each subsequent attempt to secure a relationship, a woman will need to be at least as nasty and slutty as the last attempt. But here's the thing.
What if you're with someone who likes a certain kind of sex and the next person you're with doesn't like at all? They just want like vanilla sex. Are you then going to feel like you are being rejected because of what this man is telling you to do? Yeah, I don't like that at all, dude.
I mean, holding hands and like porn star sex 10 minutes into the first date, there is a long...
His long started at like 4 inches. All right, you know that's true.
Long distance. You do not go from one to the other overnight. So if that's what's happening, the issue is not with my advice. My advice is good. The issue is with the woman's discernment with respect to the men to whom she is strategically showing that side of herself. Because if the woman is in the degraded porn star stage, that probably means that she's implemented this strategy incorrectly dozens, if not hundreds of times. So
that's such not a real argument. How many of us in the comment section have dated 100 people? Not just slept with. How many of us have dated 100 people? Like, I'm maybe a quarter of the way there. Maybe.
Problem is not the strategy, it's in the deployment. So that's the second piece of substantive criticism. And you can also tip me in proportion to the value you feel you've derived from this episode, either through the YouTube thanks button or...
Can I tip him by sending him $1,000 Venmo request?
Now, the third piece of criticism kind of dovetails with what I was just saying, which is that this advice just doesn't work. Like, if there are women who have implemented this advice dozens or hundreds of times, doesn't that suggest the strategy was ineffective in securing the relationship? Good question. What we have to understand is that in today's sexual marketplace, in which sex precedes commitment,
Oh, that explains a lot about the way that he thinks. Why? Sex precedes commitment because that's what you want. Right? Like, these men want to sleep with people and then wonder if they're going to be in a relationship with them rather than the other way around. Like, I'm definitely not the person that should be telling you when to and not have sex in relationships, right? Like, whether that's day 1 or day 1000. But there's a big difference between having sex casually and having sex within a relationship. And within a relationship, I think most people are wanting it to be a sort of commitment. Like, if you're hooking up with people casually, expecting that to become a relationship, that feels weird. And like, you're lying to yourself and the people that you're sleeping with. Figure out what you want. Do you want to have sex or do you want a relationship? And then put whichever one you want first. And then don't lie about it. But to have sex, hoping for a relationship, because in 2025, sex has to come first, is stupid. It's stupid. That's stupid. Again, I have plenty of friends, and I can think of 2 off the top of my head who are wonderful, wonderful women who are my age and virgins because they want to have a good relationship with someone, regardless of how much they want to have sex. It's not that hard of a concept, and you're just hurting yourself listening to men like him.
But in which men continue to be the gatekeepers of commitment, women generally have to use sex to secure commitment. Men are
so gross, dude. How you said the line, men continue to be the gatekeepers of commitment without puking yourself a little bit. If you are a man who looks at women in these, once again, heteronormative relationships, and you're able to go, I don't want us to be committed until after we've had sex. I don't want to give you any sort of love, affection, any vulnerability until after we've had sex, that's wild. And I don't know how you got here. Like, there's no way those are the people watching me. Is this what a 2025 sex symbol looks like? Is this like a Greek god in our day and age?
Women generally have to use sex to secure commitment. Men are defended against commitment in the same way that women are defended against sex.
That is so dumb. What? Just generally, you should not have to think this hard about relationships. You really just shouldn't. If it's this hard, you're in the wrong relationship. Or you're not in a relationship, and it's because you're thinking this hard, dude. Find someone you like, hope they like you. Keep doing that until they do like you. And that'll be nice.
Like, women don't and shouldn't give sex away to every man who wants it. By the same token, men don't and shouldn't just give commitment away to every woman who wants it.
What sucks is he's talking to men who don't have the option, but he's making them feel like they do. He's talking to men who are not in relationships, have not been in relationships, or very many, and making them feel like the power to be in a relationship is theirs when it's not. Commitment and sex cannot be the same thing. Like, I doubt every person you meet is like asking you to marry them. Maybe they want to be monogamous, but if being monogamous within your heteronormative monogamous relationships is a commitment to you, then you're not looking for a relationship. You're looking for sex, which completely defeats his points.
Remember, wanting is free. It costs nothing to want, but it costs something to give. And women providing sex is no longer sufficient to secure commitment. This is because in today's sexual marketplace, it is expected. And just like women don't necessarily reward men just for doing what is expected of them, men don't necessarily reward women for the same.
That's wild. Men should not be able to just be like, yeah, I'm committed to you. Let's have sex. Like, that shouldn't go either way. How this man has an audience is beyond me, not just because, like, I understand some of these points being alluring and attractive to young, inexperienced men or people who've just been rejected so much that they need an excuse for it. But the way that he speaks, the words that he uses, the tone that he has, I don't care what he's saying. I don't want to listen to it. Even if it was something that I agree with, I just don't want to listen to this man talk. So how he has an audience is beyond me.
It is what it is. The point is, just like women are disincentivized from opening the gate of sex to everybody and anybody who wants it, men are disincentivized from opening the gate of commitment to anybody and everybody who wants that.
Has he not put together that women are also capable of commitment and don't always want to commit to people? Like, that's not whatever.
Women, what's going to open that gate is not you standing outside declaring that you're looking for a serious relationship. That is like a salesman knocking on your door and saying, hey, I want to make some money here, open up. It's like, yeah, I get that, but what's that got to do with me? Both are entering the interaction exclusively focused on what they want. I want to make some money. I want a committed relationship. Let me in. Like, what are you talking about? So,
entirely different things, and I don't think I have to explain that one. There's a proclamation there. If you want a relationship, a big part of that is saying, I want a relationship, and not just expecting one to come to you. That makes sense to me. Like, will one come to you? Maybe, but it's a lot easier to go out and get one.
So how does a salesman actually get you to engage? By offering something that the other person might want. And with respect to relationships between men and women, it's safe to assume that something the other person...
He's so right. He's so right. He's so right. I didn't consider that when women want relationships, men don't want relationships with them. How did I miss that part? How did I... Oh my God, I forgot that relationships are just for women. You're so right, dude. You're so right. I don't know how anyone listens to him talk. Like, it's been over an hour of me recording, and I'm 8 minutes into this video. It has been over an hour. Remind me to go through the comment section. That only works when I'm streaming because there's actually people here to be like, Max, don't forget. But sometimes I say that when I'm alone and then I forget. That's your fault. Why didn't you remind me?
It's safe to assume that something the other person might want is sex. if a woman stands in front of a man's gate.
I promise you, big dog, I promise you, if you're dating women where sex is only really wanted by one side of that relationship, you're the problem. In my experience dating, women don't want sex. Oh, that says so much more about you than it does women, or even just the women you've dated. If the women that you've been with don't want to touch you, big dog, you might be the problem.
And instead offers a sexual opportunity, it will significantly increase the likelihood that he will open it up and invite her in. That's why I say this is the Trojan horse of getting a committed relationship. Now, that in itself is not enough to secure a relationship. That's why I did a series on this topic. It's not just one thing, but it is generally enough to get you through the door. And you have to get through the door in order to stay in the house. Now, a lot of women are afraid of just being used for a short-term sexual experience and then cast out. But that does kind of mean that you're further along. Like, you have to be let in first in order to be cast out. And this strategy is for women who have difficulty getting in with the men with whom they most want to have relationships. In order to stay in, you need a different strategy. Just like it's presumptuous or entitled to assume that you should just be let in, it's arrogant or clueless to think that you need to do nothing to stay there. This is functionally equivalent to thinking that just because you went to the interview, you should get the job.
His examples are stupid because they're just putting too much power in the hands of the men. Like, why are the women in a job interview? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Like, in a very real sense, right? And now I'm going to do the anecdotal thing that he does and just talk about the people that I know. I know too many people. I've been on Twitch too long and I've met too many people. Generally, men are the ones chasing women. So men are the ones going through the interview process and women are the ones going, and this is again just the people that I know, going, okay, whatever. We'll give you a second interview. So like, I promise you, dude, looking like that, not to talk about, I hate talking about the way people look, but this man's a nerd. Like, this man was bullied growing up and didn't realize he was being bullied. You are not the prize. You say big words, but don't have any smart ideas. You speak confidently, but don't really have anything to talk about. That is what I've gotten from you, your comment section, and my comment section. And that's who you're supposed to get advice from? That's who, as a woman, you're supposed to impress? Like, that sucks. That sucks. Straight women out there, women who are attracted to men, if this is what you have to chase, I'm so sorry. You deserve better.
Now, in some markets, attending the interview will be sufficient. However, if you're in a very competitive industry where they're interviewing hundreds of applicants, it's probably not enough just to show up to the interview.
Not to rag on men, so I'm going to say we are not a competitive industry. Single men are not a competitive industry. When I was single, I did not have multiple women being like, hey, can't believe you're single. Hey, what are you doing later? Not at all how that happened. Never really how that's happened. When I was sad and in college on Tinder, sure, I was talking to multiple people at the same time, but they weren't at all concerned with each other. Brother, you're not a prize, and I guess I'm just never going to convince him. And I guess an easy way to make money off single men is to tell them that they're a prize and to make them feel really, really good about themselves.
You might have to follow up and leverage your connections and go above and beyond to demonstrate that you're the most compelling applicant for the position. And if you don't, it's like, too bad, so sad, because the cost of winning is overpaying. To beat your competition, you have to be willing to do things that they won't. You have to understand that from a professional standpoint, if a company is interviewing 100 applicants, the likelihood that the position will go to the most objectively deserving person is quite small. Obviously, the position will go to the one who checks the boxes, but there's probably going to be more than one person in that cohort who checks the boxes. So the position...
Again, this is what he did earlier, where he creates an argument that isn't a real argument. Men in this situation and his audience are not a company that people are constantly applying to. It's usually the exact opposite. His audience of men are going to be single men who don't understand why women don't want them. And instead of pandering to them and saying, hey, they're just not good enough for you, it would just do so much better to be like, hey, let's try to make you someone attractive. Physically, emotionally, just someone worth pursuing. But I guess he'd probably make a lot less money that way.
The position will likely go to the one in that smaller subset that plays his or her cards right. And the way to play your cards right with a man is after you get access to him by communicating a sexual opportunity to make yourself useful. Being useful is what will prevent you from being cast out if you've been let in. And the higher the value of the man you're targeting, the more you will likely need to contend with competition to secure a relationship with him.
You absolutely know that if he was a woman giving out this advice, the men that he's talking to anyway would be mad about it. If he was a woman telling women that they need to use sex to entrap high value men, the men in his comment section would be like, oh, this is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of being used for money I don't have.
And you win that position just like in business by being willing to do what your competition won't. Make sense? I hope that clears a few things up. And I wish all the ladies out there happy hunting. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've gotten this far, you might as well like this episode and subscribe to this channel. You may also consider becoming a channel member with perks like the prior.
That is so funny. Get used to disappointing women. I know my audience and this is who you are. I'll answer why. Because they view relationships as struggles for power. No, this entire video was about how men do that. If they give their relationship man validation through sex, then they lose that tool to control him. If you're easily controlled by sex, consider that you have your own issues to work on. Chaz get everything on a silver platter is so funny to me. Yeah, this is his audience. Keep your body count low. Do not sleep around. Your vag has a lot of value. Do not give it away to men you're not in a committed relationship with. But he just said that if you want a relationship with someone, you should sleep with them and be the nastiest version of yourself. Do not play mind games like holding hands. Once again, the good doctor is handing out 5-star advice and the feminists can't handle it. Once again, the good doctor is showing us how to keep being single and the feminists can't handle it. The feminists are saying, no, that's not going to work. And we don't have to listen to them. We have each other. A $25 tip is insane. The rest of the comments kind of come down to like a few women agreeing with him, a lot of single men agreeing with him, and a couple of people being like, hey, really good logical advice. However, I wish it was more emotional because I don't think we're all that logical. People are people. And if people, if it's true, if it's somehow true that you're a man and this is how you see women, and these are the actual women that have been around you, you're in the wrong place. I doubt it is. There's absolutely no way. But if somehow that's true, then you're in the wrong place. The only men that I've experienced talking this way are men who are routinely rejected because they are usually pretty immature and they don't have the emotional intelligence to have these conversations. And so it's easier for them to be like, well, they're just not smart enough for me. Logically, they should want me. Oh, I'm a high value man, which is so weird. I'm a big believer in people being the people they surround themselves with. And the easiest way to tell how good of a person someone is normally, and this is an opinion, normally based around who they hang out with and who they spend their time with. If their partner is a good person, if their best friends are good people, then they're probably themselves a good person. Now, there are going to be times when there's exceptions. There's going to be people who lie their ways into those positions. But I like to think that people who surround themselves with good people are they themselves a good person. People who are single, and not by their choice, but then make it the entire personality, and then go a step further as to blame the sex that they're attracted to, the gender that they're attracted to, the people that they're attracted to for it. These are the people who talk about having self-accountability and responsibility, but will never actually go through with it. You're going to find so many people who are with people who may be out of their league. I'm one of them, who their partner is smarter, funnier, way more attractive, and somehow ended up there. And it's just because we are real people. We are capable of having conversations. We're capable of being empathetic. We're capable of being people who respect and are worth respecting. And at some point, it's a bit of a choice. If you're going to waste your time and the time of people around you being one of these high value men who think they're interviewing women for the position of being their partner, especially by having sex, then you are just wasting time. And I'm so glad that these men are so foreign to me and that I don't have to think about it that often. I don't have friends like this. I was never like this. And I hope that I never have to spend time with people like this. At best, if you are one of these people, and especially if you're one of the people that subscribed to Dr. Taraban, at best, you are a way for him to make money. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your comment. He doesn't care about who you are as a person or making you a better person. He cares about you tipping him at some point during the video, perhaps giving him $1,000 for a consult and watching his content for the ad revenue. It's a grift, and it's an easy one to look at young men and say, you're not the problem. Give me money. And it's one that I just, again, like I wish I had it in me, and I do. And this is where we get into a bit of a weird conversation, but a real one. I wish I had it in me to be a grifter. I wish I had it in me to just like sit here and say something stupid for the sake of money. I think I'd make so much money. I really do. I think if I had it in me to be like, oh, women, disgusting. Single men, give me your money. I would do really well. I think I would, but I just don't have that in me. I sit here and I give you all my real thoughts and my real ideas. This is who I am on and off camera. And sometimes I wish I could lie to you, but we'll end it there. And I'm going to go think about whether or not I want to give that Junimo a name. So far, still unnamed. Sorry about that one. But okay, you don't have to say goodbye to me or even the Junimo or my stepson, but you do have to say goodbye to Krobus. I like Krobus a lot. Okay, goodbye. Go.